Okay, everyone. So thank you so much for tuning into this particular video. Much love and peace to everyone. Much love and peace to everyone. And we're going to have a good conversation today about, do I like being called doctor? What do I call myself? Do I like being called doctor? All right. How do I navigate this whole new scene about being a new PhD? Again, my name is Big L PhD. I am Big L because my son is Little L, not because I'm 6'10" or anything. So I have go by another moniker of Captain Hunter because I have Captain Hunter's podcast where I talk about police-related issues, but I'm gonna dig into that a little bit later. So I started consulting business. Pandemic hits. I'm like, what am I gonna do, right? Everything slows down. We're all shut in. They're talking about being shut in for 2 years. I go online, say, I'm going to pick out a school here and I'm going to go get a PhD. Go get a PhD. So after I get my PhD, after I labor for 3.5 years of classroom work and dissertations and getting my stuff corrected and handed back and told this isn't good enough and do this over again and move this pile of dirt from here and put it over there and all this kind of stuff, right? Do I like being called doctor? Yes. I had a conversation with another lady friend, she was actually on my podcast, and she had her EDD. And at that time, I didn't know there was a difference. I was calling her doctor. I'm like, and I said something. She's like, "Oh, I don't have a PhD. I have an EDD." I'm like, "What the?" And in my mind, I'm like, "What the heck is that?" So we were talking, and she said that if I ever get married, then will it people will always call me, I'll always be Dr. So and so. Okay. And this is before I decided, these were conversations that made me want to consider getting my doctorate. So I wanted to have a discussion about whether I like being called doctor or not. Whether I like being called doctor or not. And yes, I do. I look at some individuals, and there's one individual who I kind of respect. His name is Mark Lamont Hill, and he's got his doctorate, but he doesn't call himself doctor, right? There's no PhD after his name and all that kind of stuff, and I respect that, right? And so I tend to, I only tend to use the PhD or doctor in professional company. I don't expect anyone to just run around calling me doctor, even though I've earned that title, that right, and all that kind of stuff, right? So I don't really, it's not a big deal. It is a big deal, but it's impolite to walk around calling to big up your credentials and all that, I should say, right? So those are just some of the things. So do I like it? Yes. I navigate this world by not going around broadcasting my education, not talking about my education, not putting it on Front Street, not being braggadocious about it, and all that kind of thing. So I think that those things help. But yeah, let me tell you, it feels good. I haven't walked across the stage yet. I've received my digital diploma in the mail. I don't know where the heck my paper diploma is. It should have been here by now. I got my frames ready. But I didn't walk across the stage. I didn't get the official hooding ceremony or any of that yet. And as time goes on, I may not even do it. I mean, because it's worn off. The school that I go to, they only do graduations once a year. Do I really want to spend the money now to go somewhere? It'll be 6 months. It'll be more than 6 months, man. I did my degree in October 2023. Well, the graduation is until May. What is that? 3-4 months, 8 months or so. We're looking at 8 months. So I don't know. I don't know what I'm going to do with it or not. I don't know what I'm going to do with it or not. Kind of thinking out loud. So, do I like being called doctor? Yes. Did it go to my head? Do I walk around and change the business cards and change the LinkedIn? Well, that I did change the LinkedIn. I've not gotten business cards yet. I am probably going to get some business cards because I got some job opportunities coming up. I don't know how I'm going to write that out. I haven't even thought about that. I don't think I'm going to put. I don't think I'm going to put doctor on my business cards. I don't think I'm going to do that. I don't think I'm going to do that. And funny thing about this nomenclature or this honorifics is that it's actually incorrect to write doctor, whatever your name is, Dr. Lawrence Hunter, PhD, right? That it's either or. It's either doctor yada yada yada, or it's Lawrence Hunter, PhD, or EDD, or DBA, or whatever you got. So so those are some things you want to look into. So I did change my LinkedIn account because that's a professional account. I didn't change my Facebook, and listen, you can do all that. I'm not talking about anybody who is doing it. So yeah, so that's my thoughts about it. That's my thoughts about it, and let me know your thoughts, your opinions, what you think about this type of thing, and whether you had people running around calling you doctor. How do you go about that? How do you change your business cards? And I mean, obviously, you got to update your CV, resume, business cards. And I'm not saying you shouldn't do it. I think you should do all that. But do you run around making sure everybody now calls you doctor? In a professional environment, I don't even address when people ask me, when I introduce myself, I get introduced now. I get introduced at the school I teach at. They're like, oh, this is Doctor, Hunter, whatever. I'm like, hey, I'm Lawrence. That's how I do it. I've always been very, very, even though I've earned every single title, right? I've earned titles. And that's the thing about titles is you earn those titles, right? It takes months and years to earn any title. In the law enforcement world, when I earned the title of sergeant, even officer, right? You went through months of academy training to be called officer. You went through years of working and testing processes to be called sergeant. More years to be called lieutenant. More years to be called captain. All the way up to be called chief. And you deserve it. I talk to people now, they're a chief to me. You are a chief to me. Period. You're a captain to me, right? Because you earned that title. You earned it. So I think the same thing about law enforcement. About this. I earned it. I earned that title. I did every single paper, right? I wrote my dissertation. I don't know how they're going to handle that. I mean, I finished mine at the tail end of Chat GPT and all this. I don't know how they're going to correct all that. I know that they're looking into it, right? How do we judge that? I think that they're probably going to have to start installing software on people's computers to make sure that they're actually writing their papers. So it's crazy. So anyway, I know I did the work. So I don't know about anybody else, but I did the work. I did the work. So anyway, that's my thoughts, my opinions about this and all that. So I mean, I tend to be very humble about it, but I did the work, and so when in professional environments, people want to call me doctor. That's great. If I get introduced as doctor, that's great. But yeah, it does feel good when my family, on Facebook, I put the post up and people said, hey, congratulations, doc, and all this kind of stuff. And my family calls it to me. My daughter, her friends, and because they would all come over and they're like, oh, Dr. Hunter, I'm so proud of you, and this, that, and the other. And you really never underestimate who's watching you. Never, ever, ever, ever underestimate who's watching you. I had people coming out the woodwork, man. We're so proud of you. You've always been an inspiration to me. Think about that, right? People have said that to me. You've always been an inspiration to me. You never know who's watching you. And when you succeed, it drives other people towards success. Don't ever, ever forget that. Don't ever, ever forget that. Don't ever, ever forget that. So, do you like it? Yes or no? Let me know your thoughts and opinions.